something that everyone has problem with many times in their life. And I mean countless, because doesn't just like pop up one time, 3 times, 5 times, 20 times in your life, and it will never happen again. It happens constantly, even when you are old, even when you're young. Actually, you make most of it when you are young, because that's when you learn a lesson and try to avoid it most of the times. Another thing is failure. Failure is something that, well, at least I believe everyone has experienced it if you're watching this. It doesn't come in shapes or sizes. It could be anything. You failed at, I don't know, eating a meal. You failed your test, which is a common example for most people. You've failed, I don't know, your friends, your families. There's another common example that most people can relate to. You feel like you failed yourself. And failure is something that I still have problem with, where meaning what I mean by that is that when I make mistakes, when I fail, I still can't move on from it. I still just get stuck at that one moment. And I seems to be stuck. And I mean completely stuck, not moving at all, staying at one point, not moving forward, sometimes moving backward. And that's worse. That's worse than even staying at the same place. But what people need to realize is that failure is something that you have to face if you want to succeed. Now that's something that most people say, most people you hear, most people talk about it, and you hear all the philosophies, probably these fancy stories they've talked about. And you probably like watch so many motivational videos and read so many motivational quotes, whatnot. But you still can't get over the fact that I failed. I'm not gonna succeed. This is not for me. I'm not gonna be the one that is gonna make it. And that's normal. That's completely normal when you fail, because when you fail, all that negative emotions that you've experienced during this journey, during the process of even getting to failing, like failure at that point. Not success, but failure. All of that negative emotion just stack on top of each other, you store it, and that one moment when you fail, explode like a bomb. And that's when you're being tested to see if this is your final point or your starting point of another process. You try your best, but you never succeeded, and that's okay, because not everyone no one will ever succeed in just one goal. Those people, if they ever exist, which I doubt, before that, they probably failed a lot of times where, no one saw them experiencing those failures. No one has seen that side of them. So they think, or they thought, that they just got it in one go. They just made it in one attempt. But that's not true. No one ever succeeded in just one go. No one. A lot of people just fail a bunch of times and still not succeed. Like they're the most hardworking people you've ever met. They failed so many times. You just say that, oh, the next one is the one that they're gonna just make it. They're gonna make it to the point where it's their dream life, the dream outcome they've always worked for, but they still haven't. And that means that it's another starting point for them. It's another process for them. People always confuse failures with something that is negative. Well, it is, but it's still positive in a way. What I mean by that is the fact that success comes from failure. So without failure, you never succeed. And if you say that failure is negative, then supposedly success is also negative. Doesn't really make that much sense. People say that it's negative because they feel like it. But sometimes feeling doesn't really count that much. It still matters. But sometimes you gotta let the logic beats the emotions and feelings. I'm gonna work out because I do have a push day to complete. One set. I've got 2 sets to go, and then pike push up 3 more sets. And then dips, but I don't have the equipment. Now I know most people, when they watch this video at this point, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this guy is weak. This guy only did 8 push-ups. That's weak. I can do 30. Good for you. No, that's all I'm gonna say. If ever someone comes up to me and they say, oh, you're weak. I can do 30. I can do 50. I can do 100. I'm happy for you. No, truly. Because that means that you're strong. But not in here. And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I mean it in a way that you should also improve yourself up here. Because you need to realize, at one point, you were at my position. At one point, you were also struggling to do 5 push-ups, 10 push-ups. And you didn't get there in just one day. You also trained. And now you can do 100, you can do 200, do it. But what you forgot was the struggle you had where you couldn't even do 10. So now you look down at someone that can't really even do 5 push-ups. You laugh at them saying that, oh, you can only do 5? I can do 50 times more than that. Good for you. And that's another thing I want to discuss. People aren't afraid of failure. They're not afraid to fail. What they're afraid of is the judgments and opinions from the people around them when they fail. It's how the people think towards them when they fail. They're scared of how people think about them. Oh, they think of me as if someone that is weak. They think of me as someone that is inadequate. So what stops them isn't really the failure itself. It's the fear of what people think about them that comes along with the failure. Why I say that? Well, I have problem with that as well. I had problem with that. Nowadays, I'm trying to remove it, trying to help myself get out of it, trying to help myself trying to overcome that problem. And it takes a lot of effort because it's not easy. It's mental, it's emotional, and it's hard to control emotions most of the times. It's difficult, extremely difficult. So when people say that, I will never succeed, I'm not even gonna try, they're not scared because of the fact that, I might fuck some shit up, I might fail at this, I'm never gonna get there. No, they're scared that they try, and every time they fail, people are gonna point their finger at them and say, you're not good enough, you can never make it, and that's what scares them. Because they don't trust themselves. They don't believe in themselves that much, to the point where a word from someone is enough to put them down. That's it. But what you need to think is that you are living your life. They are not. So why would you let their words interfere in your life? Because the consequences of your actions, well, you're the one to take it, not them. In other words, you are letting other people to affect the outcome of your life. You're letting other people to determine what life you're gonna live. Would you happy? Would you be happy about it? You might be a coward at the beginning, the first 5 to 10 years, and you say, not a big deal. But then the rest of your life, you're gonna look at this point, you look back and you look at this point, and you ask yourself, why was I being a fucking coward? Why was I ever affected by the words they said? It doesn't even have any meaning anymore. Because time basically just erases most meanings. With time, you can basically move on from anything. I'm not gonna do the second set. There's another quote I have to put in here because I do love this quote, and I love it every time when I fail, I tell myself this. And this is the perfect motivator for people. Failure is the mother of success. So success is the child. And to get the child, what you need to do? Well, you gotta find a partner. Well, before you find a partner, you need to prove yourself so you can make sure that you can find a partner. Because if you're weak, if you're just like, I don't know, fat or skinny like me, or you don't have knowledge, you stay at home doing nothing, you're never gonna find a good partner. And when you find that partner, you're gonna work your way up. And you have to work with it. It's not like you find that one partner, oh yeah, sure, marriage, immediately. No, you have to also work with it. Work through the process. And with many, many attempts, because most of the times relationship isn't all about just one goal. Same thing I talked about before. But when you find the one, you marry that person, create a family, and that's when you have the success. Without failure, success is just some conspiracy theory. It might be there, but you're never going to be able to test that theory. You're never going to be able to witness if it's true or not, if it's going to be realistic or it's just fake ideas. So all of this is still down to one sole thing. Most important, one sole thing. Your choices, your decisions. No one can affect that for you. You know why? Because even when someone tells you, you're not good enough, you failed at this, you have a choice to either listen to that or ignore it and just say, no, I can do this, you're bullshitting. I know what I'm capable of and I believe in myself. You don't know what I'm capable of and you don't believe in myself. So it's still up to you. Recently I watched a podcast, and for many of you, if you know where this phrase comes from, that's great. I'm not gonna mention who were in the podcast because it might be controversial and most people can't accept that, so I'm gonna keep it hidden for a moment. One of the person that was in the podcast says that a pet, well, let's say for example a dog, two dogs chained up, one in the light, one in the dark, who's gonna survive? The one that you're gonna feed. The one that you're gonna feed, because no matter what the situation is, the choice is in your hand, not in any other people. All of this, everything, is down to your hand. Nothing else, nothing more. And it's not that hard to understand it. Let me do the last set of, let's push up. There you go. Push up, done. And now pike push up comes later. If you're scared of failing, now I don't mean test, your assignment, your work. I mean in general, you fail. If you're scared of that happen, let me save you some time. It's not gonna go away. That fear will never ever go away. You think the people that succeeded, at one point they just removed all the fear? They were like unfazed? They didn't care? No, they cared. They knew and they were scared. But what they did, and this is a huge difference, this is what makes these successful people, and also the difference between successful and unsuccessful people, is that they chose to let their belief in themselves to beat that fear. That's why sometimes you gotta just make yourself think in a way that this is nothing, I'm gonna fucking do it. And a lot of people need this mindset. A lot of people need this. Because without this, it's hard. It's difficult to make it through. What was the phrase? Fake it until you make it. You gotta fake it. You gotta fake being brave. But faking that is also part of being brave. And bravery, well, it's not hard to understand it. It's not very complicated. It's not very super complex. Bravery is just you follow your guts, ignore all the voices in your head, and you fucking just go straight forward. And you do it. No hesitation, no people will affect your actions, and you just run through it. You own it. You go to that point and you tell yourself, nothing and no one is gonna stop me from getting there. I call that bravery. Because if you apply that to everything, that person is going to succeed. No matter what. No matter what. And that's the mindset you need to start trying to possess. With this mindset, I guarantee, even when you don't get to the point where you dreamed of having, let's say whatever, like millionaire, right? Being a millionaire, super rich, and you have a beautiful family, or you have a lot of friends, you have all these connections, you own a lot of things, vehicles, houses, maybe even casinos, I don't know. That's like the dream life. And even when you don't get there, with the results that you tried your best, but you still haven't got there, the dream life you want, the best, you're still gonna be in a better, way better place than you not even trying. You're scared. So, is there a loss at this? No. There is never loss in trying, because you always get something when you try. So stop trying. Start small. You don't have to start extremely big. You don't have to go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start a business. Tomorrow I'm gonna start off a business and make a business plan and try to recruit some new members so I can make a whole business, and I have to rent an office and create all these presentation about the status, the data, the analysis of the business. No. You start small. Start, I don't know, try to walk 5 kilometers per day. And then you increase that. Start trying 5 push-ups. And then every single day, you add 1 more push-up to it. First day, 1 push-up. Second day, 2 push-ups. Third day, 3. Fourth day, 4. And you keep on going. And that's how I got to where I am right now. I couldn't even do 3 push-ups at the beginning. And now I can do approximately, if you count all the sets, 50, 60, somewhere around there. And it took me a while because I couldn't do 1 push-up per day because during the day I was struggling. I felt at school, at life, with families, with relationship-wise. So I had very low energy for the rest of the day. And that's what I want to say for the next point after doing this next pipe push-up. Next point I'm trying to make is sometimes it's okay to take a break. And that break is unlimited because it's still your choice. It's up to you. You decide how much break you're gonna have. I'm just gonna give you an example. Instead of all these talks, I'm just gonna give you an example of my life. Now, I'm in music university. And before that, of course, I was in high school, but it was international school. So what happens was I didn't learn anything in terms of theory of music because at that school, you learned, I don't know, business, psychology, geography, biology, chemistry, physics, computer science, all these subjects that were non-music related. And what's more was that I skipped 1 year of high school because I did a test with a few of my friends, and there was 1 year where it was like a preparation year for the next 2 years of high school. And that 1 year is pretty much a waste of time and energy and money. So me and some of my friends decided to skip that 1 year of school by taking the test. So I learned. Every day I got up at 6 because there were extra lessons on top of the schedule I already had to prepare for that test. And of course I wasn't the only one, my friends also with me. And then of course I passed, I skipped 1 year, and I just did the following next 2 years. And the 2 years were extremely difficult. This was called International Baccalaureate. It's IB program. For those of you, if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you can search it up. It's a very rewarding program because the diploma you get at the end could be, if the total amount of points you can get on the final diploma is 45 points. And if you get like 43 or anything above 40, you can get into like prestige university, a lot of good universities in the world. But the price was high because you fail one little thing they want you to do. One little thing, could be a small essay they want you to write, like a 800-word essay, and that's small. You fail everything, and I mean everything. Doesn't matter if you get full points on your final exam, you fail everything. So it was stressful 2 years, And then afterwards, when I finally finished the 2 years with a lot of struggles and pain and tears, I was forced to immediately, because I finished the final exam in May, immediately in June, I had to prepare for the exam or the entrance exam at the university. And it was a total different thing. And here it was performance, so piano based, right here. It wasn't paper. It wasn't knowledge. It was all up here and here. Because you also have to memorize the music pieces. You don't have the music sheet in front of you. It's basically like a small concert you have to play. And, I have to. Okay. And when I got in the university, which was a very surprising news and great news, I found out that I was at the place that I was even worse at the school. I'm competing with people that knows the subject because they were in the music high school. And at the same time, because I'm in Poland, I don't know Polish that well enough to go through university lectures because, before I was in international school, everything was in English. And so this whole new world was so stressful for me. I had to catch up with my language. I had to catch up with everything in terms of music theory. And it's even more stressful when you go to that lecture, every single lecture, on a daily basis, and you go in there, you sit there, and you try to listen, but you don't understand most of it. And every single second passes by, it just stresses you out because it feels like someone's pointing a finger at you, telling you that you're not gonna make it, All of this, you don't understand a single thing. You don't get it. How are you gonna pass your exam? Even if you cheat, how are you gonna make it? That was a voice in my head for half a year. And what happened was everything went down, just downfall at one point. I'm just gonna do another set before I tell you what happened. What happened was, I got myself in the hospital. I was in hospital for arrhythmia. And for those of you who don't know what arrhythmia is, basically irregular heart rate. Sounds like, heartbeat is not really on beat, it's not a big deal. Well, it is. Anything related to heart or cardiovascular is life-threatening. If you leave it untreated, of course. And in time, most importantly. Now, what caused it was I was working quite a lot. Before that, 3 weeks before that happened, I was telling myself, you know what, I'm not gonna fucking make any more excuses for me. I told myself, this is the point. I'm just gonna work myself every single day. This is how it's gonna be. I gotta do something. If I don't, no one's gonna do it for me, right? And this is the mindset I told you before. You gotta move forward. You gotta get to that point. No matter what people tell you, no matter how people look at you, you just gotta move forward. And 3 weeks, I was working so hard. I've never done that in my entire life. And what I mean by that, except for sleeping, 8 hours of sleep, I got that every single day. I did not have a single second of break. Let me tell you how it looks like. I come to school or university, have the lectures, and sometimes I get breaks and gaps during the lectures. And what I did was I go through podcasts about making money, podcasts about learning things, podcasts about life, podcasts about literally everything. So I was concentrated, even when I had nothing to do. I found things for me to do. And then, when I'm eating, I'm also listening to podcasts. And I have to also wait for practice room because I need to practice. Like I need a practice room like this. During the waiting, I also do things. I watch videos, so tutorial videos about how to make money, side hustles. I was crazy about side hustles. All these crypto, copywriting, investing, YouTube ad revenue, YouTube Shorts revenue, and a bunch of other stuff. Oh, and also affiliate marketing and all of that. And what happened was that I realized I also had to work on myself, work on my body physique. So I was working out 3 times every week. There's a free gym provided at the university. There's a PE lesson, and this PE lesson has also a free gym room. So I would work out there. And 3 weeks of that, and I'm talking about during the breaks, when you even come back home, I didn't give myself any second to breathe. Most people will be like, oh, let me play some games, or let me watch some fun YouTube videos, or let me just do nothing. I didn't do any of it. And so 3 weeks of that, and I collapsed. I got myself in the hospital. It was 3 a.m. I had to call the ambulance because my parents don't speak any other languages. They don't speak English. They don't speak Polish. No, nothing. So I was the only one that could speak foreign languages. And I was basically sieging. I was shaking. I was terrified. Really. I don't know what was going on with me. I thought I was going to die. Not the fact that I was only shaking, but the fact that I felt no help was coming on the way. That was a feeling that made me feel like this is the end. And then the doctor told me that, I got sent to the ER and they told me that I had low potassium and magnesium. And apparently it's also not cardio kind of a disease maybe, or symptom or condition. It's called early repolarization syndrome, and I searched up online and I found out that there was no description about it. And I was scared because I was like, did I get a disease that's so rare and most people don't even talk about it? But then after doing research, I found out that it's a thing called, it's basically when you get this, right? When you have this, you're more likely to get heart or cardio diseases. So heart attacks or diabetes or anything. Well, not diabetes comes from being fat, but like anything related to heart, any sort of symptoms, any sort of disease or sickness, you're more likely to get them than an average person. So even when you take precaution, if you are being super careful, you might be still on the same level as the average person, like the chance of them getting a heart disease. And the one thing that I realized at that point was that I can't work out. I can't work out anymore. I can't get the physique I want. That was another fail. That was a slap on the face. Because also, for the following 3 to 5 months, I was stuck on the sofa. Because every single time when I walk, when I stand up, I feel like I'm gonna faint any moment. I'm just gonna fall on the ground. I felt weak. And so the amount of failures during this course of, let's say, 8 months was so big. Even my parents saw that and they were like, what is going on? What is happening to you? Why is there so many bad things happening to you? And when you hear words from someone every single day, that kind of words, you also get down. You also pretty much you can't get up. But then slowly as day passed by, I realized, and this takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of thinking, critical thinking. So much time where you just stare at the wall, at the ceiling, and just think to yourself. No. I'm not gonna admit that this is the end. I'm not gonna admit that this is the final point. I was destined for more. I need more. I know I'm capable of it. I can't let other people tell me, this is it. You gotta keep, stay at this point. Don't move anywhere around. So now I'm starting my journey again. I've adjusted things. Just a few things. I'm not going to the gym. I'm starting with calisthenics. So body weight training. It's less dangerous for my current condition. Because there will be nights where I can still, wake up in the middle of the night, feel like I can't really breathe properly because the heart feel like there's some pressure at my chest. I have to take pills, make sure my supplements, my potassium, magnesium stay on the good level. I have to stay healthy on my diet as well. And no drinking. I was a heavy drinker. I was a total alcoholic. And so the point I'm trying to make after talking about my life, because I know a little bit off topic about the failure and stuff. If you fail, you can choose to get up and move forward. But there will be a point in time when you fail too much, your body can't take it. Or your spirit also can't take it. And that's when you need to realize you need to take a small break. And taking that break isn't telling others that you're weak or something, or you're not capable, you're actually not going to finish this journey, you're not going to get to the point where you want to be, and you're inadequate. No. Taking that break is like you're driving on a car trip, and in the middle of it, your fuel runs out. You need to charge it. You need to, get that fuel up. Fill it up. Or else how are you going to run the rest of the journey? You're going to be stuck there forever. If you just go to the point, you see some, gas stop, and you just say, I can finish the journey with it. But it's already slowly running out. It's at the line, it's very close. And you choose to pass it? Or you're gonna get stuck at that point where there's no gas stop and you have to come back to that stop. You have to push the car all the way back. And that's gonna be another hard journey for you. So sometimes it's also wise to choose the right moment to take a break. And I don't mean take a break like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, half a year. It's all up to you. It's still up to you because the choices is in your hand. For some people, it could take years. For some people, it could take months. For some people, it could be just days. It's up to the person. So the amount of times you're going to fail, don't even try to count them. Don't even try to predict how many times you're going to fail. You will fail. And you will get that once in a while. And you will get that pretty much sometimes pretty damn frequent. You could fail a bunch of times in just one day. And that's going to be the point where you tell yourself, where you have to convince yourself, okay, I failed. I either take a break so I can get up and just keep on bashing against this fucking wall until I just destroy it, until I get through it, until I actually do and accomplish this task and get the life that I want. Go through this wall, this immovable wall, and you get your life you want. Last set. If you want to succeed, if you don't want to fail, well, that's one hell of a conflict right there. Because without failure, you can never succeed. That's the one thing that most people say, no matter how many fancy ass stories you hear, no matter how they phrase it, it's always the same shit. You fail, you get up, you move forward, you learn from that mistake, or you learn from that failure, and you move forward. Every single time when you fail is like a new stop. You learn something. You pick up something new. And you will be a better version of yourself if you keep on doing that. Even when you don't get the life you want, you will always be the better version of you compared to the one that you never tried. The one that never failed. Because you were always scared and afraid of what other people think about you, what people say about you, how they look at you. You think they're gonna look at you differently or any better if you don't even try? They're gonna look at you in a completely different way, maybe even worse than how they look at you when you fail. So don't let those words, don't let their meaningless looks and their opinions determine your future. Because they don't live the life that you live. You live your life. All of this is up to you. It's not up to them. It's not up to your family. Not up to your friends. Not up to your partner. It's up to you. The choice is in your hand. the end, I still want to wish whoever is watching this, I wish you all the best. I wish all success. I wish all of you that will get the life that you want. I wish that you will always fail so that you can succeed. I wish that you can learn from your failures. I wish all of you strong and wise, and know that failure is the mother of success, and it's only the beginning of your journey. Don't let it be the end.